See, automatic payment program. So what exactly is the function of this automatic payment program? First, I will explain this function. See, in the case of business enterprise, it is very, very important to see that the payments are made to vendors in time. So different vendors may give different credit periods on different invoices. So according to the credit period, we have to make the payments to vendors. If you don't make the payments to vendors in time, what happens? Sometimes according to payment terms, the vendors may charge the interest. So if you have to pay interest to the vendor, it is the burden on the profitability of the company. And sometimes some vendors will not impose any interest. Instead of imposing the interest, they supply the inferior quality of raw materials in the next supply, so that they can take the advantage of the delay occurred in the payment of previous invoices. So this is even more dangerous to the credibility of the company, because if you use the inferior raw materials in your production process, the quality of your production, the quality of your finished product will be disturbed. So in that case, if you sell the inferior finished products, you have to lose the customer base, right? You have to lose some of the customers. So this is even more dangerous to the credibility of the company. That's why in any case, it is very important to see that the payments are made to vendors in time. So in order to make the payments to vendors in time, what is the information we require? They know the due date of every invoice of the vendors. But here you have the 5,000 vendors in your company, and every vendor will have the different invoices due on different due dates. In that case, how can we find out the due date of the invoices? Just impossible, right? That's why SAP has developed one program which is called automatic payment program. So this FI consultant will configure this automatic payment program in the client company, right? Then the user who is responsible to make the payments to vendors, right? He executes the payment program every day or once in 2 days or once in 5 days according to payment policy of your client company, right? Then the system, whenever the program is executed, the system automatically selects all the vendors who have become due today. Say, for example, we have 1,000 vendors. So today we have executed automatic payment program. Out of this 1,000 vendors, only 200 vendors have become due today, as on the date of executing the program. So the system will identify only those vendors who have become due today. So out of these 200 vendors, right, the system also identifies the invoices which have become due today. For example, in the 100 vendors, 200 vendors, there is one vendor, XYZ vendor. For XYZ vendor, there are 25 invoices due. But out of 25 invoices, only 10 invoices are due. Then the system will print the check for these 10 invoices for this XYZ vendor. That means when we execute the automatic payment program, the system automatically identifies only those vendors who have become due today. And for every vendor, the system will identify only those invoices which have become due today. And for those invoices, it will print the check automatically. So in addition to printing the checks, right, the system automatically prints the payment advice. So payment advice means nothing but covering letter, right? So while sending the check to the vendor, we have to send one covering letter to him, like what? Respected sir, this is the check that has been done on so-and-so bank, dated so-and-so, towards the payment of the invoice number so-and-so. So for the so-and-so amount, dated so-and-so and so-and-so bank. So please acknowledge the payment. That's how we give the content in the covering letter. So the covering letter is also printed by the system, right? When we execute the automatic payment program. In addition to that, the system also prints the payment summary. Payment summary means, right? Payment summary means it is the list of vendors whom you have paid, and for every vendor, how much amount you have paid. So all this information is contained in the payment summary. So this is the payment summary for the purpose of end user. So when the payment program is executed, the system will print checks automatically, payment advice automatically, and payment summary automatically. So we can configure different payment methods, right? See here, we can configure different payment methods like check, bank transfer, wire transfer, etc. So according, it's very flexible program, right? According to client requirement, we can configure the check payment. Means checks are printed. We can also configure bank transfer, right? We can transfer the funds from our bank account to vendor bank account. Similarly, we can do the wire transfers. Like that, we can configure different payment methods, right? Now, in addition to printing the checks, payment advice, and payment summary, the system also automatically takes care of all the accounting functions. Like what? Just a minute. So when the system prints the check, the system automatically affects all the accounting functions automatically. Like what? All the vendor due line items for which the checks have been printed are automatically cleared. So previously what we are doing, when we make the payment or when we enter the payment in F-53, we are clearing the open item manually, right? Then here, in the case of automatic payment program, when we print the check, the system automatically clears the open items. You need not go to F-53. Then the vendor reconciliation accounts are updated. Vendor reconciliation accounts are updated. Then the bank accounts are updated automatically. The check register is automatically updated. The vendor account balances are updated. Then the payment documents are generated. That means payment documents means the accounting entries are posted. So all these 6 accounting functions are automatically taken care by the system, right? Now here I'm going to show you how to configure for the check payment method. See, set up the payment method per country for payment transactions. See, every payment method has to be set up, right? First at the country level, right? Set up payment method per country for payment transactions. Path is SPRO. Path is SPRO. Financial accounting or financial accounting new. Account receivable and accounts payable. Business transactions. Outgoing payments. Automatic outgoing payments. Payment method, bank selection for payment program. Set up payment methods per country for payment transactions. So all the steps which are necessary to set up the automatic payment program are available in this folder only, right? So set up payment methods per country for payment transactions. And see the material. Click on position, give country IN. Here country IN means you have to enter the country of the company code. Suppose if your company code is in USA, you have to enter the US, right? But our company code country is IN, right? So country is equal to IN. Click on enter. See, check payment method for India. It is already available there. See, give country IN. If country India is already set up, you don't have to make any inclusions here. If you don't have the country IN line item, then you have to click on new entries. So already it was there, right? So you need not do anything. But let us see. Suppose if the payment method check is not defined, then we have to click on new entries. Right on. Country is equal to IN. Country is equal to IN. Payment method is equal to C. Payment method is equal to C. You can use any identification. Normally, right, for the check payment method, we use the C letter. Description is equal to payment method for India. Select payment method for outgoing payments. So this is the payment method which is used for outgoing payments. Outgoing payments means payments to vendors. Then payment method classification, select check. Payment method classification, select check. Then under posting details, document type for payment, KZ. Under the posting details, document type for payment, KZ. Clearing document type, KZ. What does it mean? Here, when the system prints the check, the system automatically posts the accounting entry. Then our accounting document, the system will post automatically. So in that case, with which document type that accounting entry has to be posted? Here we define that. Here we have defined that KZ. So when the system prints the check, the system will post the document, accounting document with the document type KZ. Then the clearing document is also posted with KZ, right? Then payment medium program. Payment medium means here check, right? So check program means it is the program for printing the check. It is the program for the format of the check. I'm sorry. It is the program for the format of the check. RFFOUS_C. So suppose if the format of the check is not compatible for your needs, then the ABAP consultants can create the new form using this payment program, medium program. Yeah, tell me, Abhishek.
Sir, so for document type for payment, if we give KZ and for clearing document type as well as KZ, so after posting the transactions, so how we will differentiate whether this vendor has been cleared manually or through automatic payment program?
I will come to that
give
point.
The same document.
Yeah, I will come to that point, right? I have not yet covered. I will come to that point within few minutes.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Yeah. So payment medium program, RFFOUS_C, right? It was a system standard program. Suppose if the format of the check is not compatible for our needs, then we can define the ABAP consultants can create the new forms. Click on save. See, an entry already exists to the same key because it was already defined. Now let us check the settings done. Select the payment program C, click on details button. Right. See, country IN, payment method C, outgoing payments, check, document type KZ, clearing document type KZ, then payment media program RFFOUS_C. Okay, then double click on currencies allowed folder. This one. Then here you see in this list, you enter those currencies that are permitted for this payment method. So leaving this table empty, we mean that all currencies are permitted. That means, right, here we have entered INR, means this payment program C can be used to print the checks only in the INR currency. Suppose if you don't enter any currency here, the system will print the check in the currency of respective invoices, right? Suppose if you want to add some more currencies, you can click on new entries, you can enter all the currencies, right? Now, here, so under the posting details, we have given document for payment, clearing document KZ. Here, we have given the KZ and KZ in our training class, but in the normally, in the real time, we use ZP and ZV. So document type for payment, we use ZP, right? Then clearing document type ZV we give, right? So in that case, what happens? So when the system prints the check, the system automatically posts the accounting document, right? Then that accounting document is posted by the system with the document type ZP. So here, there are two categories of payments. Payment to vendor through issue of check manually and payment to vendor through automatic payment program. So here, the management wants to differentiate between what are the documents that are posted through automatic payment program and what are the documents that are posted through manual issue of check. In that case, we use the document type for payment ZP. That means here, suppose if you make the payment to vendor manually, what happens? You go to the F-53, there you enter the payment, then you clear the invoice, right? Then a document is posted with the document type KZ, right? Now, if the system prints the check through automatic payment program, a document is posted with the document type ZP. That means if the user notices the document type is KZ, he can understand that the payment is done manually. If the user notices the document type ZP, then he can understand the payment is done through automatic payment program. But if you want to use that's how the user can differentiate between the documents the user can differentiate the documents posted because of automatic payment program and manual issue of check, right? Suppose if you want to use the document type ZP and ZV, we have to define the number ranges here again. Otherwise, system will give the error messages, OBA7. In OBA7, we have to enter the number ranges, right? Document type ZP. Select the document type ZP, click on details button. See, number range number 20. Similarly, for ZP also, so ZP, ZV also, you have to define the number ranges, document number 20. So for ZP, if you define the number ranges, those numbers are applicable to both ZP and ZV. Clear? Who is this? Abhishek. We have
Yes,
to
sir,
use
it's clear.
document types. Now, one more thing.
Okay.
Here, what is this required master record specifications, right? Put heading in the notes here. Some space is there, no? Please put heading in the notes. Required master record specifications. Required master record specifications. Under that, put heading street, PO box, or PO box postal code, or PO box postal code. If this checkbox is selected, the system will select first put heading required master record specifications, right? Under that, right, you put heading street PO box, put heading street PO box or PO box postal code, or PO box postal code. Write down. If this indicator is selected, the system will select those vendors. In whose master record the street and PO box numbers are maintained. Within brackets. That is, the address of the vendors is maintained. Normally, this checkbox is selected. In the case of check payment method. Clear, no? See, why so? Here, the system will print the check. So how do you send the check? Through courier, right? So if you have to send the courier, right, we have to have the address of the vendor, right? So without address, you cannot send the courier, no? So you select this street and PO box number for the check payment method. In that case, right, in the vendor master record, if you don't maintain the address, system will not select that vendor into automatic payment program, even though there are due invoices. Okay, next, number 2. Bank details. Bank details. If this indicator is selected, the system will select only those vendors, in the automatic payment program. In whose master record, the bank details are maintained. In whose master record, the bank details are maintained. The bank details of the vendors are maintained. Normally, this checkbox is selected. Only for those vendors. Normally this checkbox is selected only in case of bank transfer payment method. So here, if you want to make the payment to vendor through transfer to his bank, we need some information of the vendor bank, right? Like what? Bank name, bank key, right? Bank SWIFT code, account holder name, account number. So all this information you have to maintain, right? So without this information, how can you do the bank transfer, right? That's why in the case of check bank transfer, we select bank details. Okay. Suppose if you select bank details, see what happens. Presently, the other fields are grayed out, right? So if you select bank details, these fields are becoming ready for input. So when you select bank details, what bank details you have to maintain recording the vendor bank? Account number required, right? Then IBAN number required. IBAN number is nothing but your IFSC code. In the case of international payments, SWIFT code is required. So like that, when you select bank details, relating to bank details, which data you want to maintain in the master record. This is controlled by selections here, right? Now, here instead of use different the number ranges for ZP and ZV, right? I am using our regular KZ and KZ. Click on save. Now, see the next step. Set up the payment method per company code for payment transactions. Write down within brackets. Simply in this step, we assign the payment methods. We assign the payment methods. To the company code. So first let us do the step again. I will explain it. Path is same as above. Set up a payment methods per company code for payment transactions. No. Here, set up a pay. Sorry. Actually, I'm suffering from jet lag still. So set up payment methods per company code for payment transactions. Click on new entries. Paying company code SSKH. Payment method C, right? See, for the paying company code SSKH, right? We have assigned the payment method check, right? Now enter the other details, then I will explain. Minimum amount 1000. Okay, in the middle 100 is there, right? Minimum amount 100, maximum amount all nines. Maximum amount all nines, right? Then under grouping of items, select single payment per market item. Select payment per due day. I will explain you all these things. Click on form data button. Form for the payment medium. Payment medium means, right, check. So here it is the check format. F110 underscore prenum underscore check. Previously it is the check printing program. I'm sorry, right? I told you it is the format of the check, right? It's not the format of the check. RFFOS underscore C is not the format of the check, right? That is the program for printing the check. Payment medium program. This is the program for printing the check, right? Then here, form for the payment transfer medium means F110 underscore prenum underscore check. This is the format for the check. It is system defined. Then form for the payment transfer medium F110 underscore prenum underscore CHCK. Then draw it on the form. You have to enter the company code. So what's our company code name? SSKH Steels. So here what happens, no? The system will print the check and the authorized signatory will put his signature on the check. So below his signature, we have to have our name, company code name for SSKH Steels. But nowadays, the banks are giving you the checks with your name pre-printed on them, right? That's why in that case, your name, the name of the company code will be automatically printed on the check. If that is the case, it is not necessary to enter the SSKH details limited. Suppose the banks are giving the checks without your names on the checkbooks, then you have to enter the name. Click on save. So, what is the purpose of this minimum amounts and maximum amounts, right? Remember, this minimum amounts and maximum amounts we defined for the payment method check, right, with reference to company code SSKH. So what do they imply? Minimum amount. The system will use this payment method for those invoices whose amount is below the amount entered in the minimum amount field. It's not below, above. Please rectify this. In the place of below, you please rectify above. See, the system will use this payment method for those invoices whose amount is above the amount entered in this minimum amount field. Say, for example, here we have entered the minimum amount 100 rupees, right? So the system will print the check only for those invoices whose amount is equal to or more than 100 rupees, right? Suppose if you enter 1 lakh here, okay, I will explain this again. Then maximum amount all nines. So what is the maximum amount? The system will use this payment method for those invoices whose amount is less than the amount entered in the maximum amount field. So in that case, if you enter, for example, 5 lakhs, and here 100 rupees. So the system will print the check for all the invoices whose amount is more than 100 rupees, whose amount is more than 100 rupees, right? And less than 5 lakhs. Okay, now suppose in the real time, how these fields are used, right? See, for example, minimum amount 10,000 I have entered, right? Maximum amount I have entered 5 lakhs. In that case, the system will print the check for those invoices only, whose amount is equal to or more than 10,000, but less than 5 lakhs. Say, for example, there is one vendor, right, for whom the invoice amount is 9,000, right? So 9,000 less than minimum amount, right? So the system will not print the check for that invoice. Then what happens? You don't want to make the payment to vendor on the 9,000 invoice? Not like that. The management requirement is like this. For all the invoices whose amount is less than 10,000, we want to issue the checks manually. That's my requirement. Got it? That's why minimum amount you can specify 10,000 rupees. Clear for everybody? For all the invoices whose amount is less than 10,000, we want to issue the checks manually. Okay? Then maximum amount 5,000, 50,000. That means here the system will use this payment method for those invoices whose amount is less than the amount entered in the maximum amount field. Say if the invoice amount is less than 5 lakhs only, the system will print the check. But for the invoices above 4 lakhs, above 5 lakhs, what happens? Here the assumption is like this. For all the invoices whose amount is more than 5 lakhs, the company does not want to use the payment method check, but they want to use the bank transfer. Say, for example, one vendor is there. So we are in Hyderabad, right? Vendor is in Mumbai. So our house bank is HDFC. Vendor house bank is SBI, State Bank of India, right? Today his invoice is 7 lakhs. So we have sent one check, right, for 7 lakh invoice, right, which was done on HDFC Bank, Hyderabad. Now the vendor has get this check of 7 lakhs collected by the bank through the clearing. So in that case, the bankers may take 4 or 5 days to collect the check from Hyderabad. So the vendor has to pay interest to the bank on 4 or 5 days, right? And the working capital loan we have used for 4 or 5 lakhs. Sorry. So if you give the check, right, on the HDFC Hyderabad, the vendor has to get the check collected through ICICI Bank Mumbai. In that case, it may take 4 or 5 days. Then the vendor has to lose the interest. The vendor has to lose the interest on 4 or 5 days on 7 lakhs. It's also a type of loss to him, right? That's why he will not accept the payment through check. He always wants the payment to bank transfer, right? That's why the company has set up a rule, like if the amount of the invoice is more than 5 lakhs, right? Let us use the bank transfer payment method. That's how this minimum amount and maximum amounts are used. Till now clear for everybody? Can anybody reply?
Yes, sir.
Right? Okay. Now, what about this distribution limit? Distribution amount. See here, distribution amount 10,000 I have entered, right? It's a little bit important from the interview point of view. That's why I have given the explanation also, even if it's not maintained. Now, see, distribution amount 10,000. That means what? And one more thing, these limits are not applied. Which limits? Maximum amount and minimum amount are not applied if the payment method is entered in the vendor master record or in the line item at the time of posting invoice. These are the 2 exceptions, right? So in the vendor master record, you can assign the payment method, and also at the time of posting the invoice also, we can assign the payment method, right? So how we can assign, I will show you. Then here we have one field, distribution amount, right? So what is the use of this distribution field? Listen to me carefully. Distribution amount. The payment program analyzes this field and tries to split the payments so that they are paid through this payment method. See, the payment program analyzes this field and tries to split the payments so that they are paid through this payment method. The system makes the distribution analysis independent of the payment method specifications entered in the line item. Say, for example, here we have entered the distribution amount 10,000, right? And the minimum amount 10,000 you have specified. Now, for one vendor, the invoice are like this. There are two invoices to be paid to a vendor, right? So invoice number 110, right? Whose amount is 10,000. And invoice number 113, whose amount is 11,500. 11,500, right? Now, we have made purchase returns, right? We have returned some goods to this vendor on different credit notes, like credit memo number 1, 600 rupees. Credit memo number 2, 300 rupees. Credit memo number 3, 350 rupees. Credit memo number 4, 350 rupees. Credit memo number 5, 900 rupees. So total number of purchase, total amount of purchase returns is 2,500 rupees, right? Now, at the time of making the payment, right, we have to reduce the system has to reduce the purchase returns, obviously. Okay. Now, what is the total amount of purchase returns? 2,500, right? Now, if the system reduces this 2,500 from the first invoice, 11,000 minus 2,500, it becomes 8,500, right? Which is less than minimum amount. So it will not print the check for the 11,000 invoice. Okay. Now, okay. Let us not reduce the 2,500 returns from the invoice number 110. So I want to reduce this 2,500 returns from the invoice number 113, whose amount is 11,500. So in that case, 11,500 minus 2,500, 9,000, right? So which is less than minimum amount again. In that case, system will not print the check for the invoice number 113. That means if you reduce the purchase returns, system will not print the check for either of the invoices. It will be able to print the check only for one invoice, right? But I want to make the payment to both the invoices in this case. In that case, right, we enter the distribution amount 10,000. Sorry, here 10,000, right? Then what happens, see, the payment program analyzes this field and tries to split the payment so that they are paid through this payment method. That means here, out of these 5 returns, right, credit memo 2, 3, 4 will be reduced from 11,000 invoice. The system will choose the purchase returns to be reduced in such a way that, right, the amount of the invoices becomes equal to minimum amount. Means from the 11,000 invoice amount, the system will reduce the amount of credit memo 2, that is 300 rupees, credit memo 3, 350 rupees, credit memo 4, 350 rupees. So what is the total amount? 1,000 rupees, right? So 11,000 minus 1,000 in net amount of the invoice will be 10,000, right? In that case, the system will print the check for this invoice also, because the amount to be paid is equal to minimum amount, right? Similarly, from the invoice number 113, the system will reduce invoice number 1 and 5. That means 600 and 900, right? Invoice number 1 and 5. Invoice number 1 is 600. Credit memo. Credit memo number 5 is 900, right? So 600, 900, 1500. So 11,500 minus 1500 will be your 10,000 invoice amount, which is equal to minimum amount, right? So in that case, the system will print the check for the second invoice also. So that's how the system will adjust the purchase returns, right, in such a way that the minimum amount of the invoices after reduction of the purchase returns will be equal to minimum amount. If wherever possible, please remember, wherever possible. Suppose if there are 5,000 returns, right? If there are 5,000 returns, then the system will pick only the total is equal to 2,500. Remaining 2,500 will be adjusted in the next invoices. Okay, that is the impact of selecting distribution amount. Normally, right, this minimum amount and distribution amounts will be equal. That is the use of the distribution amount. Clear for everybody? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, grouping of items. Under the grouping of items, right? Single payment per market item and payment per due date. That means what? Single payment per market item. By selecting this indicator, the system will print the check for each due line item. Each due line item means each due invoice of the vendor, provided the payment method C has been entered at the time of posting the invoice in F-43 or FB60. Otherwise, it will print only one check for all the due invoices. So we can make the payment invoice-wise. So this is applicable for every vendor who has become due. For example, today we are executing the automatic payment program, right? So when vendor is there, X vendor, for the X vendor, today, 3 invoices are due. Invoice number 110, 10,000 rupees. Invoice number 113, 20,000 rupees. Invoice number 116, 30,000 rupees. So we have selected this single payment per market item here. And also the user has to enter the payment method check at the time of posting the invoice in F-43. So in F-43, right, there is one field payment method. At the time of posting the invoice in F-43, the user has to enter the payment method check. Or if you are posting the invoice in FB60, right, the user has to enter the payment method check. Then the system will print 3 checks for these 3 invoices. So invoice-wise, the system will print the check. So we can make the payment invoice-wise, right? But for that, 2 conditions must be satisfied. The consultant must have selected this, right, single payment per market item at the configuration level. Then at the time of posting the invoices, the user has to enter the payment method check. So we have to give these instructions to the users, right? All these information is provided to the users in the training sessions. So in the real-time projects, we also organize trainings, right? And they are called end user trainings. Sometimes what happens, the implementation project team members themselves have to provide the training to the users. Or sometimes the training requirement is assigned to outside consultants, right? Or some freelance consultants, or some same implementation partners only. Sometimes, right? But normally it is the duty of the implementation partners only. It depends upon the agreement of the implementation, right? So then the system will print the check. The system will print 3 checks for 3 invoices. In the above case, for the X vendor, the system will print 3 checks. 1 check for 10,000, 1 check for 20,000, and 1 check for 30,000. Otherwise, it will print only 1 check for the total amount of 60,000. That is 10,000 plus 20,000 plus 30,000. Only number of checks will be different, nothing else, right? Then payment per due date. See, when this indicator is selected, the system groups the invoices as per the due dates and prints the checks accordingly. That means we can make the payment to vendors due date wise. That means, yes, Srilekha.
So yes, sir. Like if they didn't enter payment method C while posting the invoices in F-43 or FB60, and if they want to change now, so how can we rectify that one, sir?
FB02. See, I told you this transaction code also, FB02, right? See, in FB02, we can change the document, FI document, right? FB03, display FI document. FB02, change FI document, right? So you can double click on the vendor line item, and there you can assign the payment method again. Got it?
Okay, sir.
Everybody else also has got the point of Srilekha. What she is asking is, today I'm posting an invoice, right? So I did not enter the payment method check while entering the invoice. After some time, I want to make the separate payment for this check. In that case, we have to assign the payment method in the already posted accounting document, right? In that case, you can go to FB02, you can give the document number, company code, fiscal year, click on enter, right? Double click on the vendor line item, enter the payment method. I will show you if you want, okay? Anyhow, I will show you at the time of posting the invoice. So when this indicator is selected, the system groups the invoices as per the due dates, and prints the checks accordingly. That is, we can make the payments due date wise. That means we are executing the payment program, right, in our company on every Thursday. So we are executing the payment program on every Thursday, right? So previously we have executed the payment program on 16th, right? So previous date of execution of APP, right? What is the date? Sorry, 16th, right? So 16th February 2023, right? Now, current date of executing automatic payment program. That is 23rd February 2023, right? So between these two dates, right, for X vendor, right, there are three invoices. There are different invoices due on different dates, right? Invoice number, right? Due date and amount. So invoice number 110, due date is 21st February 2023. Amount is 50,000. Invoice number 113, due date is 21 February 2023, right? Amount is 75,000. Then invoice number 119, due on 22nd February 2023, right? Amount is 1 lakh. Then invoice number 121, due on, it is also due on 22nd February 2023, the amount is 2 lakhs, right? Then invoice number 127, which is due today, 2023, right? The amount is 3 lakhs. So for the same vendor, remember, we are not executing payment program every day. So if you execute the payment program every day, there is no question of payment per due day. So if you make the payments to vendors with the defined intervals, right, with the fixed intervals, then this case may happen. So between these two dates, right, for this X vendor, 5 invoices are due on different due dates. Say for example, right, on 21st, 2 invoices are due, right? On 21st, 2 invoices are due, right? So in that case, the system will print one check, 1,25,000. Okay. Then on 22nd, right? Again, 2 checks are there, right? Sorry, 2 invoices are there. On 22nd, 2 invoices are there, right? So for these 2 invoices, the system will print 1 check, 3 lakhs. And this is another 3 lakhs, that's it. So for 5 invoices, as per the due dates, the system will print another check for 3 lakhs. Clear, no? Okay.
Yes, sir.
So if you want to make the payment invoice wise, right, you select a single payment per market item. If you want to make the payment due date wise, when you are executing the payment program with the predefined intervals, then we select this invoice checkbox, right? That's how these 2 checkboxes are used in the real time, right? Then here the manager, suppose for example, the system will print the check, right? Then the manager has to sign on the check. Below his signature, he has to has the name, our company code name, right? So below his signature, the system prints this name. Click on save. But nowadays, the banks are giving your checks with your name pre-printed on them, right? Or with your company code name pre-printed on that. In that case, it is not necessary to enter. So remaining things we will see tomorrow. Set up all company codes for payment transactions. Any questions?
Sir, I posted
So,
one doubt in chat box. Sir.
Which one?
Difference between Jyotish, sir, I posted a message in the chat box. Your a difference between the clearing document and the posting document.
No, posting document is accounting document, right? In the case of automatic payment program. Posting, not posting, paid document, payment document.
Okay.
It's
It is similar to F-43 that you are posting.
exactly.
In,
No, it's you should ask the question. I think you might have typed it wrongly. The difference between payment document and clearing document,
oh yeah, correct.
right? So payment document is the document which contains the entry, right?
Mhm.
Vendor account to bank, right? Clearing document is the clearing document number. We do the system clears automatically. No, actually clearing document and the payment document both are same. That's why, right? Here in the document types also for both the documents ZP and ZV, system has given the same number standard. Both are actually same. But sometimes clearing document is different. Clearing document comes into picture when you make the part payments. Right?
Oh, okay. Got it. Okay.
So using the automatic
Because
payment
in
program, you can also do
manual-
the part payments, but that's a separate method. Got it now?
Got it, sir. But in manually, when we do it, we don't have any such clearing
No,
document type,
no,
right? It is
no,
only
no.
in
I told you notes also. No. In the case of clearing, the system will generate the GL document without any line items. I told you the notes also. In the case of partial payment method, right? You have to clear the part payments in F-44. Then what happens? The system is posting one document in the general ledger without any line items.
Got it, sir. That partial payment I understood. So this is applicable only for the partial payment, the clearing
Exactly.
document type.
Exactly.
In APP also.
Yes, Jyotish. Exactly.
Okay.
Okay, then see you tomorrow.
Sir, I have a question here.
Yeah, tell me.
Yeah, so sir, in real time, so do we check both the checkbox, single payment for marked item and payment per due date?
No, it depends
Or
upon the
any
payment
one
policy
we
of your.
change?
No, it depends upon the payment policy of your client company. Suppose if the client company is executing the payment program every day, in that case, there is no due date check, no?
Yeah.
Right? Every day invoices are due and every day payments are done, right? But you are making the payment every Tuesday or every Thursday, right? Or every 15 days, an example. In that case, this scenario will come into picture. Okay?
Okay.
So it depends upon the client
Thanks.
scenario. Then only we select this either single payment per market item or payment per due date. Yeah, Fardeen, there was a problem with the server, right? Actually, I'm in USA. It is evening 5:30 here, right? So just before the class itself, I tried to call the service provider. In India, it was 6:30 a.m., right? So he did not wake up still. Once another batch is there, after a batch, once that batch is over, I'll try to contact him. Don't worry, it's only a temporary issue. Don't worry, right? I was actually day before yesterday. That's why I could not contact him, right? So today I will see that this game today. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay then. See you tomorrow same time.